Protests have erupted in Tanzania following the controversial election results, which have caused a serious political crisis in the country. It's a tense situation, and people are watching closely. We're talking about mass protests, military deployment, curfews, and even reports of fatalities. The people have taken to the streets to voice their anger and frustration, and now they've gone one step further. They've taken over the Tanzanian parliament building. This is an unprecedented moment in Tanzania's history, and we need to unpack what's really happening. First, let's dive into the events leading up to this. Tanzania held its general elections just a few days ago, and the outcome has caused significant unrest. People from all walks of life are upset, particularly after major opposition candidates were disqualified from running. This sparked outrage. Many Tanzanians feel that the election was rigged or that it lacked fairness. They are demanding transparency and accountability. The result? People started protesting in the streets, calling for justice and change. The protest didn't take long to escalate. The government responded with heavy-handed tactics, bringing in the military and imposing curfews in certain areas. Internet services were shut down in some parts of the country, making it even harder for people to communicate and share information about the situation. The tension only grew as time passed, and the protest turned into a full-blown crisis. Buildings were set on fire, roads were blocked, and the protests quickly spread across the nation. What we are seeing now is a growing rift between the people and the government. It's a serious issue, not just for Tanzania, but for the entire East African region. When a country as important as Tanzania faces this level of unrest, it sends shockwaves throughout the continent and beyond. Investors, foreign governments, and international organizations are all watching closely to see how this situation plays out. The fear is that this could have long-term implications for Tanzania's stability, both politically and economically. What's even more troubling is the reports of violence. The opposition has claimed that hundreds, possibly even up to 700, people have been killed in the protests, while the government has disputed these figures, saying the number is much lower. The truth remains uncertain. The lack of independent verification is making it difficult to get an accurate count of the deaths and injuries. But one thing is clear. People are losing their lives in this conflict. Whether it's through direct clashes with security forces or other means, the situation is dire. What we do know is that the people of Tanzania are desperate for change. Many feel that their voices have been ignored for too long. The lack of opposition candidates and the lack of transparency during the elections have left many people disillusioned with the entire political system. They feel their right to choose their leaders has been stripped away, and they are fighting to get it back. This brings us to the key issue here: democracy. Tanzania is a country that has prided itself on its relatively stable political environment, especially compared to some of its neighbors. But now, we are seeing how quickly that stability can crumble when people feel that their voices aren't being heard. This is a critical moment for Tanzania's democratic future. The question on everyone's mind is whether the government will listen to the people's demands for reform, or whether it will continue to suppress dissent. Let's talk about the future. Right now, it's unclear what the outcome of this crisis will be. Will the government engage with the opposition and negotiate a peaceful resolution? Or will they continue to use force to silence the protests. The longer the situation drags on, the more difficult it will be to find a peaceful solution. The international community is urging calm, but with so much anger on the streets, it's hard to see how that can happen without meaningful concessions from the government. For the younger generation, this situation is especially troubling. Many of the protesters are young people who are frustrated with the political system. They feel that they don't have a voice, that their future is being shaped by a system that doesn't represent them. And when young people feel disconnected from the political process, it can lead to even more unrest. This isn't just about Tanzania. It's about the future of democracy in Africa. How do we ensure that young people are included in the political process? How do we make sure their voices are heard before they reach a breaking point? This is a critical time for Tanzania, but it's also a critical time for Africa as a whole. What happens here could set a precedent for other countries on the continent. Will governments across Africa learn from this and begin to make their political processes more inclusive and transparent? Or will they continue down the path of suppression and repression until the people have no choice but to take to the streets? This is a conversation that needs to happen, not just in Tanzania, but across the entire continent. One thing is certain: the people of Tanzania are determined to be heard. They want their voices to matter, and they're willing to fight for their rights, even if it means taking extreme actions. The question now is whether the government will listen to them, or whether they will continue to ignore the cries of their people. This is where we stand right now, in the middle of a major crisis. But it's not just about the protests or the deaths. It's about the future of democracy in Tanzania and across Africa. We have to ask ourselves, what kind of future do we want to build? A future where people's voices are heard, where democracy is respected, and where leaders are held accountable. Or a future where people are silenced, where their rights are trampled, and where protests become the only way to make a difference. This is a critical moment for Tanzania, and it's a critical moment for Africa. As we watch what's happening in Tanzania, we need to think about what it means for the rest of the continent. How can we ensure that this doesn't become a trend, that other countries don't follow the same path of repression and violence? At the end of the day, this is about more than just one country. It's about the future of democracy in Africa. And the only way we can move forward is if we come together and demand change. We have to hold our leaders accountable and make sure that every voice is heard, no matter how small or how quiet it may seem. So, if you're watching this and you believe in the power of democracy, in the power of the people to make change, then it's time for us all to stand up, support the people of Tanzania in their fight for justice, share their story, let the world know what's happening, and remind everyone that the fight for democracy is not over. It's only just beginning. If you believe in the power of the people, then like this video, subscribe to the channel, and keep the conversation going. Share this message with your friends and family. Let's keep the momentum going and ensure that every voice is heard, because if we stand together, there's no limit to the change we can bring. Thanks for watching, and remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and never stop fighting for what's right.